Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're a basketball fan or just someone who's keeping an eye on the Chicago Bulls, you're in for a treat today. We've got a pretty wild trade rumor floating around that has the potential to change the future of the franchise. I'm sure you've heard it by now. Zach LaVine, the star shooting guard for the Bulls, is reportedly involved in some blockbuster trade rumors. And to make things even more interesting, Bleacher Report just dropped a wild trade suggestion that could see LaVine leaving Chicago. So, let's take a deep dive into this rumor, break down what's going on, and talk about the potential ramifications for the Bulls and the rest of the NBA. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Before we get into the actual trade scenario, let's take a step back and evaluate the current situation for the Chicago Bulls. It's no secret that the Bulls have been a bit of an enigma in recent seasons. After making big moves in 2021, when they acquired DeMar DeRozan, Lonzo Ball, and Alex Caruso, Chicago seemed poised for a playoff push. There were legitimate expectations that they could build on their young core, led by Zach LaVine, and become a competitive force in the Eastern Conference. However, as the seasons have gone on, it's become clear that something isn't clicking. Injuries to key players like Lonzo Ball and inconsistent performances from others have kept the Bulls from fully reaching their potential, and this has led to a lot of speculation about the direction the team should take. With LaVine at the center of this speculation, many are wondering if he's still the player who can lead the Bulls back to the promised land, or if the team should look to move him for something else. Zach LaVine, for all his talent and accolades, has been the face of the Chicago Bulls for several years now. He's a two-time NBA All-Star, a dynamic scorer with one of the smoothest jumpers in the game, and an explosive athlete with a bag full of tricks. There's no doubt about his talent. LaVine is a legit star who can take over a game on any given night. Whether it's throwing down thunderous dunks, draining three-pointers from deep, or making clutch plays when the game is on the line, LaVine has proven time and time again that he's capable of leading the offense. However, despite all that individual success, the Bulls have struggled to build a successful, sustainable team around him. The roster's lack of depth and inconsistent performances from role players have made it hard for Chicago to be a true contender, and LaVine's future with the team has been called into question as a result. Could the Bulls look to move him and try to build a more balanced roster? That's the question many fans and analysts are grappling with right now, and it brings us to the trade rumors that have been circulating. Now, let's talk about the wild trade rumor that's making waves. According to Bleacher Report, the Bulls could potentially trade Zach LaVine to another team in exchange for a mix of young talent, future draft picks, and perhaps a couple of established players who could help bolster Chicago's roster in the short term. This is where things start to get really interesting, because the suggested trade has some serious implications not just for the Bulls, but for the other team involved as well. According to the rumor, the team that would acquire LaVine could be a serious contender in the NBA, looking to add a scoring punch and an offensive superstar who can elevate their championship hopes. So, let's break it down. What exactly would Chicago be getting in return for trading away one of their star players? If the Bulls were to pull the trigger on this trade, they would likely be looking to stockpile future assets. In this trade rumor, the Bulls could get a combination of young, promising players who fit their vision for the future. Imagine landing a talented forward who can provide scoring and versatility, along with a gritty defender who can help solidify the team's defensive rotations. The Bulls could also gain some valuable draft picks, something that would be crucial for a potential rebuild. Chicago has a solid foundation with LaVine, DeRozan, and a few other role players, but moving LaVine for future picks and younger talent could allow them to build a new core for the next few years. Financially, moving LaVine could also free up some cap space, which would give the Bulls flexibility to pursue other opportunities, whether it's adding a max free agent in the future or simply having room to extend younger players as their contracts come up. It's not just about rebuilding, it's about giving Chicago the resources to potentially make a competitive push down the line. Now, let's shift the focus and talk about the team acquiring Zach LaVine. Why would another team want to trade for LaVine, and what would they be getting out of the deal? The answer is simple. LaVine is an elite scorer and an offensive weapon that can help elevate a team's chances of contending for a championship. Whether it's for a team looking to make a push for the playoffs or a title contender seeking an additional star, LaVine would instantly make any roster better. The team that acquires LaVine would be adding one of the most explosive scorers in the game, a player who can fill it up from all areas of the floor. His three-point shooting, ability to get to the rim, and overall offensive game would give that team another option on offense. Not to mention, LaVine's improved playmaking and basketball IQ over the years make him a more well-rounded player than he was when he first entered the league. The team acquiring LaVine could potentially pair him with another superstar player, and that's where things could get very interesting. Imagine LaVine alongside a player like insert superstar that could be a dynamic duo capable of making serious noise in the playoffs. From the perspective of the Bulls, trading LaVine could also signal a new direction for the franchise. If they decide to move him, it could be the start of a full rebuild or at least a retooling of the roster. The Bulls would likely shift their focus toward player development and assembling a roster that can grow together over the next few years. DeMar DeRozan would likely become the focal point of the offense in the short term, but Chicago would need to lean on its younger players, including insert young player, to take on more responsibility. The front office would need to focus on drafting wisely, developing players, and possibly making some shrewd moves in free agency to build a team that can eventually compete for a championship. It might take a few years, but with the right moves, the Bulls could find themselves in a position to rise back up the ranks of the Eastern Conference. It's a tough pill to swallow for fans who love LaVine, but if the team feels that trading him is the right move, it could be the best path forward. The impact of a LaVine trade would extend beyond just the Bulls. If another team acquires him, that could shift the power dynamics of the entire league. A contender who adds LaVine would immediately become stronger and potentially more dangerous. Whether it's in the East or the West, adding LaVine could shake up the playoff picture, forcing other teams to adjust and potentially making a championship run even more wide open. We've seen in the past how major trades can completely alter the NBA landscape. For example, when Kawhi Leonard went to the Raptors, or when James Harden was traded to the Brooklyn Nets, the league shifted. If LaVine is moved to the right team, that could spark another round of trades and adjustments as teams look to respond and bolster their own rosters. At the end of the day, this LaVine trade rumor is just that, rumors. But as the NBA trade deadline gets closer, we're likely to hear more and more about potential moves. If the Bulls do decide to part ways with LaVine, it could mark the start of a new era in Chicago, whether that means a rebuild, retooling, or something entirely different. Whatever happens, it's going to be an exciting few months as we wait to see what the future holds for Zach LaVine, the Chicago Bulls, and the entire NBA landscape. What do you think? Should the Bulls trade LaVine, or is he the key to their future? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more NBA news, rumors, and analysis. Until next time, keep ballin', and I'll see you in the next video.